Good morning. Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, wherever you are across the known world. And thank you for joining us for another exciting interview with King Alexander and King Tahira of Caid. I'm Countess Beatrix.
And I'm Countess Lilya. We would like to, first of all, acknowledge the fact that Magnus roped us into it and that it has been a great and wonderful success to meet some of the most amazing people that have been placed on the thrones during these pandemic times. But we would also like to acknowledge the First Nation, as we do with all of our interviews right now. So, good gentles, we come here together in the spirit of fellowship, deepening of our skills, sharing of our knowledge, and the shared interest in the search to find truth through experimental archaeology and historical inquiry. It is in this context that I, Countess Lilya bint Tahir, on behalf of my kingdom, acknowledge the traditional owners of the land upon which we gather. We recognize their continuing connection to land and to culture, and we pay our respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging, and to the elders from other communities that may have joined us here today.
So thank you so much, Your Majesties, for joining us. We're very excited. Firstly, can you tell us whereabouts in the known world that your kingdom is located?
So we are Southern California, Hawaii, and some parts of Nevada, like Las Vegas.
The good bits of Nevada.
And your kingdom device and name, whereabouts did that come from?
So originally our kingdom was made, we were a principality from the West Kingdom. And when our kingdom was breaking off and becoming its own great, powerful kingdom, it took the first four baronies that we had at the time: Calafia, Angels, Isles, and Drybergen. And they clunked those together and made Caid.
And your device?
Oh, so our device is blue like the ocean, yellow like gold, which, because we're so rich with artisans, I have no idea. Yeah, we didn't learn that. Thanks for that question.
It can be your next kingdom ANS.
Go find out now, though.
Yeah. Next Kingdom ANS competition is come up with a valuable story for it.
Well, we're about to have an event now, thanks.
So when did you step up as king and queen? This reign?
100 years ago, I think. It's what it feels like. When?
January.
January.
Yeah.
And do you have heirs?
We do. We were lucky enough to have heirs. I mean, it shut down right after we got our heirs, but we were lucky enough to have some.
Our heirs are his mommy.
My mommy.
And his squire.
Yeah.
Oh, that is
You
awesome.
left it in house. Do you have a
lucky parts for us, because when we have to do online things, we all live in the same house too. So I mean, we just, hey, everyone, we get in one room.
We don't have to break COVID rules.
Yeah, no breaking.
So if you stepped up in January, when are you anticipating on your step down?
So that's an interesting question. There's been a lot of debate about that, and we listened to our populace, we talked to the board members, and we sort of got the feel back how everyone felt about it, to include our heirs. And what we felt is we wanted to give them the best chance of having an actual coronation, because that's a magical time, in our opinion. It is a time that cannot be replaced. It's life-changing, quite literally. And this is their first reign, so we wanted that to be in person for them. So we agreed in discussing with them and hearing the desires of the board of directors to extend our reign until January, again, until next year, in an effort to give them the best chance possible to have an actual in-face coronation.
But after that, they're on their own.
But come January of next year, yeah, as much as I love this job, it is time to get off the throne. We are done.
Yeah, there's definitely some long tenures that will be happening. We've spoken with quite a few crowns.
as Prince and Princess as well. So it'll be closer to 15 months altogether since we won crown.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
it's not like it's a commitment that you made when you entered the crown tournament. Like, we can do it forever.
No problem at all. I can do 6
That already
months.
took convincing, and then this one.
Well, we appreciate it. How's that?
Yes.
So you've reigned 3 times together, is that correct?
This is our second reign.
Second reign. So did you find it, apart from the COVID, did you find the crown tournament very different? Like, did you kind of go, the second reign, we will do this, and then obviously it's been put on hold?
Our first reign, there were issues in our kingdom, unfortunately. And in between our first and second reign, there were even more issues that we don't need to discuss here. I don't want to bring the mood down, but we had a pretty big blowout in this kingdom, and our kingdom needed to heal. We needed to take a look at ourselves, make sure we were doing everything properly, make sure we were being seen in the right light. So this time we stepped up. The first time we stepped up, we had all this theater and drama, and some of it was taken poorly, I think. Obviously not our intent, but that's just sort of how it happened. And then this time we decided to play it much more traditional, very straightforward. We wanted everyone to, like I said, we wanted everyone to heal this time and to get into a good reign so we could get into a good swing.
And then you have COVID.
And then COVID happened, and out the window that went, and best laid plans and all.
So what is your kingdom traditionally known for?
Oh no, it's on me. So our kingdom, what is it known for? I believe there's a saying, welcome to Caid, now get dressed. That's probably not the one though, right?
We are home to the youngest princess.
We also have the first Baron and Baron, same-sex barons. We are the Magic Kingdom, of course, because we've got the Magic Kingdom in our kingdom. And we do have His Grace Duke Guy, who has built a castle in our kingdom, Castle Kirk, which we do love. And as my lovely lady said, we have the youngest princess ever in the SCA. Top that.
Lockhart and Caid actually have a very strong tie together. Yeah. What we call our Crescent Isles were originally
The jewel in one of our
part
crowns.
of Caid.
So you took it.
We did. We did. So after we were established as a kingdom, the Crescent Isles joined with Lockhart.
Oh.
Yeah.
Told you can't trust me.
We are very grateful for that decision, and
Yes.
I am sure that both kingdoms, there was political stuff, but we are very grateful for it because they're amazing people, the Crescent Isles, and they brought a level of the tradition from your kingdom to ours, so we blended with our West history as well. So it's given us our own identity having them as part of our kingdom, which we were very pleased about.
That really is wonderful. I mean, that truly, to be able to mesh like that and bring all the things together to still create your own identity, I think that really is wonderful.
So we were wondering how you got started in the SCA, both of you.
You want to go first?
So I started right out of high school. My boyfriend at the time decided he wanted to do this, and I thought he was crazy. And so I went to a practice with him, and it took me about a solid year to convince me that this wasn't weird. But he left, I stayed. I've been here ever since. I love it. I joined our household and never looked back.
And I, right around this, I'm going to date myself here, Desert Storm for us Americans, the 1990s. I was a young combat veteran. You couldn't tell me anything. I knew everything, young punk. And was on my military base in Germany. And as I was walking home to my barracks, there were these people outside hitting each other with sticks in armor. How neat. And I went over, and this very wise gentleman, bearded in his beautiful tabard, Sir Axel is his name, by the way. He tells me, oh, would you like to try it? Of course I'd like to try it. And he hands me the sword, and he takes me to this pell, and he says, hit it like this 100 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And he says, good, now hit it like this 100 times. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then he said, hit it like this. And I said, look, old man, I'm a combat veteran. I'm an infantry soldier. Put me in armor and I will kick your butt. So he read me perfectly. He put me in armor and he whooped me up one side and down the other. Boy, it was just it was a solid whooping. And he could tell though, because I was just one of those I wouldn't quit type person, that after I took my whooping that day, I came back the next practice and I'm like, let's put it on again, old man. And he whooped me again. And by God, after about 3 months of those whoopings, I was hooked, weirdly enough. That's how I started, and I've been here ever since.
And did you both meet in the SCA?
We sure did. It was an amusing story. We both were in bad relationships at one point or another through our history, and we've been in and out of relationships. And after knowing each other for 9 years as friends, as it were, suddenly we were both single at the same time, and we were sort of hanging out, and we were like, how come we've never talked at length? And we got to know each other, and it's been wonderful ever since.
Oh, that's lovely.
So you have children, is that correct?
We do. I have my daughter is from my first marriage. She's 23. My eldest son is 14, and then my youngest son is 10, 11. 12.
So how do you balance being king and queen and running a house, like having jobs and having children at the same time? Is that like part of your military background, and you being a nurse, is that like that comes into play, or is it that you just go, it's a little bit crazy during rains? So
my beloved wife, she goes to work, and I am lucky enough. I'm 100% PTSD retired from the military. So I get to stay at home. I'm the trophy. So I go to the gym, I get in my tanning beds, I cook every day. I'm going number 1 in the man fantasy draft for husbands. I'm determined this year again. Yeah, so I'm lucky enough that I get to stay home with our kids while my lady gets to pursue her career. I love it.
I think it's just routine. We have a routine. It works for us, and our kids are pretty self-sufficient. I mean, they'll last.
She thinks. I think she's gonna come home one day and be like, "Sorry, honey, we have to start over. I had to get rid of them."
I don't like that one.
That one wasn't gonna make it.
So were you surprised when he won Crown Tournament?
Surprised? No. Was I happy? Not fully. I was literally in the middle of like finals when we won. I had finals the week after we won, and then I was going into my final semester of nursing school. So to say that it was bad timing is an understatement. But he promised me he would do most of the work. And then COVID happened. So
be careful what you promise people, folks. You never know when a pandemic's gonna hit. Wow.
I love being queen. I love my populace. I love being around them. But the timing could have been better. I truly appreciate the experience. So I really enjoy meeting new people and seeing their faces when we give awards. That part's great. It's just the timing that was not great.
Are you doing virtual courts?
We are doing virtual courts.
Yeah, we do a lot of online stuff. We really try to hit every online thing we can in our kingdom, and as many as we can out of kingdom. We think, especially, it's my opinion that a lot of people came into the SCA because they're introverts or they were struggling emotionally or mentally with their lives, and then suddenly they find this tribe they get to hang out with and release on the weekends and practices and what have you. Now that was taken away from them. So I'm a big believer in that. Yeah, obviously this is wonderful, but it's not the same as being face to face. But I think we need to reach out to everyone we can to try to help those people who are really suffering at home and can't come out and play with us.
He's way better at the Zoom than I am. I do like a quarter of what he does. He can sit on that Zoom forever, and me, I can't. I have to have my sleep.
Well, if you're working full time as a nurse, we can appreciate that you need your sleep.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we do 12-hour shifts, so I get 12 hours off, 12 hours on.
Wow.
So I'm exhausted when I'm done.
They are definitely some big shifts, and thank you so much. In Lockout, our essential workers are very much admired so heavily
heroes,
here.
really our heroes at the moment. So
Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
It's definitely an experience to walk into.
So what is Caid known for across the known world? You told us the little things, but if we met you on a warfield or if we met you at an event, would we be able to go, they're from Caid? How would we be able to tell that you're from Caid?
Well, on a war field, you'd be able to tell because we are very pretty, first of all. I mean, very pretty. Far more pretty than any of the other kingdoms. I mean, far prettier. And you'd also be able to tell by our delightful blue and white colors on a war field. We strong representation of ourselves anytime we go to war. We're a war kingdom actually though. So we have, like, our kingdom is broken into 3 areas. We have what we call our brigades. Our southern area is our Iron Brigade. Our northern area is our Black Brigade, and then our Central Brigade. So we're broken down into those type of things for the war field. As for the arts and such,
We do have a pretty heavy arts community. We have a bunch of arts and sciences events. We have like pentathlon that we do that is a huge event just on its own, and 90% of our events all have huge arts and sciences communities. So we do take that pretty big here.
I'm actually quite curious. How do you engage? You said that you have Hawaii as one of your areas. How do you engage with anyone there?
they're amazing people. First of all, most of them, we're lucky enough, most of them travel frequently. They come
travel to the mainland.
They come to the mainland quite frequently, but they're also the most incredibly nice people. We have traveled there, and people offered us accommodations, food. You know,
they hosted a special event just for us.
So they are very accommodating. So it truly it goes both ways. We try to help them as often as when they come to the mainland, but they, as I said, they are incredible.
And a lot of our populace travels there quite frequently. So there is a lot of mix back and forth, and we really try and involve them in our mainland community. But yeah, we're really lucky with them. There's a lot of them that travel to our big events every year.
And they're such wonderful people that it just connects us. It really does.
I find it quite interesting because we do have New Zealand as a part of Lockup. We also have an island down the bottom of Tasmania, which is Innis 4 with the Barony. So we have 3 islands in total that there is the geographical challenges that happen with that.
I know our Hawaii groups also, because there's the different islands, they travel amongst themselves as well. So they have to travel a little bit on their own, even in their own little area.
Wow.
So you mentioned your big events. What are the events that you would encourage Lockhart to come and experience in your kingdom?
For fighting, Great Western War for certain. That's our biggest event of in Caid for war fighting. You could also try Potrero War for the fighting. That's a slightly smaller, but still a pretty monster event. That's wonderful. We have lots of tiny little wars in there that people can come to. That'd be great. Let's see, for arts and science would be Great Western War.
Great Western War is our big event. It's like our Caid version of Penzig, so to speak. It's the biggest event that we have in our kingdom. It's where we get the most presents from out of kingdom. We have equestrian, we have arts and sciences, we have the fighting, we have unarmored combat, we have hound coursing. I mean, equestrian,
it's a little bit of everything.
Archery, all of that stuff is there. And the site is beautiful. It's on a lake. It's really close to our house, so we love it. But yeah, that would be the event that I would say you get your most bang for your buck if you were to come here.
Yep.
When does that happen?
October, the first week of October.
Right. It's the thought of plannings.
Yeah. So I've heard there's a Disney event that happened in your kingdom. Is that true?
We can neither confirm nor deny a Disney event within our kingdom. All we can say is this is a magical kingdom. And we have a castle here in it that we sometimes frequent.
Uh-huh. Perfect. So we've been asking kings and queens, everybody loves giving out awards and recognizing peerages, and the award of arms, obviously, because it's kind of like you're accepted and we're grateful for your participation award, which I loved giving out as queen. But is there a specific award in Caid that you like to give out that has a personal attachment to you both or individually?
For me, it would be a Legion of Courtesy. It's an award that's given by the queen and only the queen can give it. So most of our awards naturally come from both of us. This is the one award that is only the queen's to give, and it's for whatever she chooses. So someone that inspires her, someone that helps her. So it's an award that most of the queens hold near and dear to their heart because it's strictly from our hand.
And I'm an award of arms guy, as you said. I that's my favorite to give out. That's welcome to the tribe. I'm a big recruiter. That's my thing. I really want to bring new people in, and these new young people to watch their eyes light up when you give them what is usually their first award. And they will remember, most of them remember, for their SGA career. It's crazy when you talk to a 20-year veteran and you say, what do you remember most? They go, I remember my AOA. I remember when I first got my award of arms. So yeah, I'm an award of arms guy.
Cool. Very
Yeah,
cool.
I actually still remember getting my award of arms. Yeah, absolutely. And who gave it to me, and a lot of the conversation around it. Yeah, it is definitely one of those big awards.
So we've got a couple of personal questions for you. We'd like to know about your personas and how you chose them.
Where I started, as I said, I started in Germany, and I started this little group of fighters, my little household. And when we started, because Germany was a lovely cold place, I thought, okay, all the color needs to be black so that we can suck up the warmth, because it is freezing here, and with thick coats. And we went 14th century England. And when I joined, the people I was around said that SCA really was pre-16 to about 1200. That was the time period that we were supposed to focus on. So I went, oh, no problem at all. Most of my family is British. So I went with Henry V and went 1415 in that time. That's where I started, in these wonderful, big, lovely jackets and huge, warm cloaks. And then we moved to Caid, where it's like 100 million degrees every day. And when I was here, I happened to see a group, I won't mention their names, Orkneys. They were marching to the field in this beautiful bronze chest pieces and big, huge plumes. And I was like, what is that? And they went, oh, that's the Orkneys. They're a Roman group. You can be Roman? Yes. And I thought, it's hot in Rome? That's perfect. So from that point on, I went with the classical Roman era. Alexander is the name, and that just it stuck with me, and I love it. I would never. I don't want to change back. It's wonderful for me
My persona was originally a 14th century Ottoman, and I just love different types of clothing, and my entire household is Roman, so hence we predominantly dress Roman, and it's really easy to make. But I have garb in like everything because I can't just decide on one culture. So like this reign, our focus is like Cleopatra and Mark Antony. So I've been doing a lot more like Egyptian type garb, but you know what? We still go with a lot of Roman because it's easy and it's warm.
It's very hot here.
Outside of the Roman garb, because I love garb, what would be your favorite time period?
Wow, that's really tough to say because I'm a junkie. I mean, my SCA garb is 10 times the size of like my business suits in my closet and my other. I mean, it is way more. We just got these amazing Persian outfits made for us by Countess Albra. Sorry, my brain. They were incredible outfits. I love the Lance Connect stuff. That I think that's a beautiful outfits that we've seen for those. So I can't narrow that down. I'm a lover of them all. They're all good.
My current favorite right now would be the Egyptian. I'm really starting to delve into that research, and they have some amazing things that came out of Egypt at that time. You know, the German stuff, the Vikings, all of it's really great. But right now, I think my focus is mostly the Egyptian.
Lovely.
I definitely would like to see some of that because I come from the tropics. And European garb is beautiful, but 8 meters of fabric in a skirt
It's perfect where I live. Hence why I have some wool on today.
And I'm in light silk.
We happen to be in an area where if it dips below 70, that's freezing here. I mean, it's pretty rare.
I like it like 85 to 90.
Yeah. That sounds like where Lil lives.
Yeah. So you've been in the military. Does that mean that you traveled the SCA as with the?
I did. I have lived in 9 kingdoms now. I think I got to experience a lot of them. I have been to all of them except this one, except for Bangkok.
Yeah.
So I've been to I think all of them except for that. Yeah, because when I was really traveling, then you weren't a kingdom yet. So I hadn't gone out that way, but it's a place I do want to go to. I definitely want to travel out there. So yeah, I've been lucky enough to see sort of all the amazing things the SCA has.
And I've traveled a lot less. I've only really been around like our surrounding kingdoms.
Have you been to Tijuana?
We hear a lot about Tijuana.
But I've been told.
One of your populists tried to get us to go to Tijuana on our last day in the US. We were like, no, because if we can't get back into the country,
that's one way to extend a trip. Yeah. It's a fun place, but it can definitely extend a trip.
Be a little too fun.
Yeah.
So what do you miss when you're not being king and queen? Because obviously you've been in the role before and then you've stepped down. What do you miss when you're not king and queen?
The close parking.
Really? It was free parking?
That is one of the big perks is to have that close parking. But no, I miss like just seeing people's faces from that point of view. That's one of my favorite things about being queen. is you can see their faces close up and see how they react to the things that you're giving them. So that's kind of what I miss the most.
For me, it's everything. It's a drug. It really is. It is. I'm gonna miss, even though I'm ready to step down. It's been a long reign. I'm gonna miss this immensely. It truly is. It's amazing. The love this kingdom has for its king and queen is incredible, and you feel it just sitting there, even in the audience. People I knew 5 and 6 years ago, who, as I'm a big, brash, bold extrovert, that I know I've made some people upset, and I've been sitting there looking at people, in our courts that I know don't like me, that I have made upset at some point, but you can still feel that they still have that love for me now as king on their throne. And we have the inscriptions in our crowns that we rule, or you rule because they believe, which is so incredibly true. And everything about this job is amazing. It makes me a bit angry when I hear people step down and they go, "Oh, it was so hard, it was so difficult." Are you kidding? No way. The perks are through the roof comparatively. The populace in this kingdom is absolutely amazing. The love they shed on you, it makes you feel wonderful. It makes you feel like you could do anything. It's such an amazing experience. So I will miss it all, every single bit of it. The difficult times, the good times, all of it.
One of the things that we have heard I've heard quite a bit, is when you were mentioning that sometimes you do put people offside, is that respect for the crown. You have the person wearing it, but it is more so the respect for the crown.
There's a story that I tell some of my squires. That there was a gentleman who he and we got into we're an attorney, and things are getting heated. But everyone wants to win, and he and I got into a really heated debate, nose to nose type debate, belly to belly, and we were just huffing up and rah 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 rah. And after it was over, we were very polite to one another. I don't like you, you don't like me, and we're just going to leave it at that. And the second that I put this crown on, I had an interaction with him that I thought was going to go terribly, because I had to go and talk to him about some official crown business. I thought, oh, I'm dreading this. This guy and I don't get along. It's going to be terrible. And honestly, his respect for the crown outweighed all that. He was so respectful to me, which caused me, of course, in return, to be like, wow, I have to show this back. It truly takes away all of the bad stuff. It really does. These things are amazing. Everyone should have one. They're incredible. I really do love them. I told people, because I'm an old soldier, and I am, if you will forgive me, I'm a drinker. I cuss. I like to go and party with the boys. We were going to go out and scream at the moon. And before I won crown, I thought to myself, oh, I'm going to sit in my throne, all cocked with the crown tilted to one side, with a drink in one hand. I'm going to be the party king. And truthfully, the second this crown touched my head, I thought, I can't do that. I can't let I'm looking at all these people who are staring at me. I can't let them down. I have to now represent them. And I won't put things on social media now, because I'm not going to offend any of my populace. I definitely will not make them embarrassed that I am their king. It's an amazing thing what this crown will do for you.
Yeah, one of my favorite quotes really is, we reign because they believe. Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing this. None of this would be possible.
Exactly.
I love the fact that your crown has an inscription in it, and our crown leaves a dent in our head. It's like a staple that constantly digs in. That moment where you're like, oh, this is heavy.
The burden of the crown does leave a mark.
Yeah, very much so in our kingdom.
These are like some of our biggest ones, but they're actually some of our lightest ones.
Yeah.
Our ones are actually like the heaviest.
Yeah. The little ones the small ones that you would think are really light are the ones that truly are the heavy ones that'll leave.
Those are the headache givers.
How many sets of crowns do you have?
We have 3 right now.
Okay.
We have these. Our Celadonna's crowns are smaller, And then we have the Flavia Otwell crowns, which are the big giant ones that they wear to Penzig. There are traveling crowns because they fold flat.
Oh, okay. Nice. I'm quite fascinated because we have two sets. So we have our original crowns, and then we have the brass, we call them our travel crowns, which were gifted to Lockhart from one of the Penzig gift exchange.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, and they're the ones that our current crown are wearing.
Okay.
Have you had the opportunity to, when you were on the throne, did you have the opportunity to travel? Have you gone through customs and such with those crowns yet? We found that to be a treat.
So,
You go.
Henri, I reigned with Henri, and we made a decision we would wear the travel crowns, and he went to Penzig and took our good crowns with him because he wore the travel crown and there's just no bling in it, so he ended up wearing the other crowns, and that's what we ended up wearing for most of our reign.
I want to do it.
My consort won over in the Crescent Isles in New Zealand, so we had to travel back internationally to Australia with the Prince and Princess's coronets, which was fantastic. And then we traveled back as King and Queen to one of the most beautiful events that they hold, Canterbury Fair. And while going through customs, the gentleman went, "Oh, you've upgraded." At a moment where we're like, what? Because obviously crowns going through customs isn't a common occurrence in that airport. And Ron kind of looked at him and went, yes, I have. And he smiled at me and I was like, yeah, just walk through, babe.
That's wonderful. As we were traveling to Hawaii, they stopped us and they got to our crown baggage, and they're stopping the x-ray, and the guy's looking at us and he's looking at my lady and he says, he goes, "What's in here?" And I lean in and I go, and yeah, I have my military haircut still, I lean and I go, "Those are her crowns." And he looks at me and I said, "This is the Queen of Caid, sir." And he suddenly thinks I'm her security detail and this is some country he's never heard of. And he's like, "Oh, I'm very sorry, Your Majesty. Here you are. Here are your crowns. Feel free. Thank you." And I took them like they were all handcuffed to my wrist kind of thing. And so we had a good time with those.
There are some very surreal things that happen when you are crowned, and you never get to experience it if you never experience being their majesties. So what is your favorite story or most entertaining story that you've had so far as being the Crown of Caid?
I'm not allowed to tell most of the time.
God.
So
It's a safe space. It's okay. It's very safe here.
Nobody's gonna see it.
let's see. Do you have one? And I'm so I like to surprise people. I hate being boring. So during this reign, since after your first reign, you learn all the things you can do with the second reign. So during my first reign, I was made fun of because I was trying to get to an event and I didn't have proper footwear. And I'm, I got to find these shoes. And I literally could not find a pair of shoes to put on. I have huge feet and I had injured one of my feet, so I couldn't find them. So I went to one of our bigger events with just no shoes on, and I sat down. And at the time, a good friend of mine, Morgan A. the Wolf, my SCA brother, funnily enough, was sitting the throne of Adenveld at the same time. And he looks at me and he goes, "You're the Pauper King. You know that, right? You got no shoes on." And I was like, "I'm okay with that title. I'll be all right with that." And at the same time, right after that, we went to Hawaii, and all the people there were very thrilled that I had no shoes on, so they liked it. So I thought, I should be the shoeless king. However, this kingdom, we have a lot of people who disagree with that thought process and think that I cannot be the Pauper King, not in Caid. How dare I think that? So we've definitely had to change my theory on what footwear is. So I now have these lovely Roman shoes that I must wear everywhere. But if it were up to me, I would be the Pauper King still. No? Tell about the time we tried to steal a bus. Penzig. You don't want to go there?
It wasn't a bus, it was a golf cart.
It was a bus. Go ahead, dear.
I don't know.
We also did a, I don't know if you're familiar with the phrase Rick rolling.
Yes.
No. Oh.
Rick rolling. Yes.
On the internet, it was a phenomenon many years ago that people would call it Rick rolling, a song by Rick Astley, and it was Never Gonna Give You Up, Never Gonna Let You Down. One of the gentlemen, Sir Tiberius, I hope he's watching today because I have a job for him. Sir Tiberius, he's a good friend of mine. I really like him, and I decided that I was going to have some fun at his expense. So during our first court in our second reign, we brought him up, and I made him the ambassador because he's a real big online presence for us, the ambassador to Rick Rolia. And then I literally had this ensemble of singers come out, and we sang that song to him, this Rick Roll song, to give him the award so he could be ambassador to Rick Rolia.
It was when we offered him his Pelican.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I unfortunately I can't tell you all the things. I could sit here forever and tell you story after story. I love the honestly one of my favorite things in the SCA is the hijinks of the SCA, the fun that we all had. It drives me crazy, if I'm to be honest, when people are like, oh, I'm 70 now. I want to keep these kids quiet. I appreciate that, and there's quiet areas for you, but remember what happened when you were first here. I don't know about everyone else, but I was that guy that my first fighter practices, obviously, again, I'm going to date myself. I had a Freon helmet on. I had a stick in my hand. I think it was made of oak. I had no knee protection on, and a beer in my left hand was one of my first fighter practices that I can remember. That's, how I came into the SCA, was a young punk kid wanting to have a good time. And I think that we may have lost a little of that, and I'm not going to let it go. I'm going to make sure everybody has a great time. So
I love that my populace will have jokes at his expense. I love animals. So my favorite is goats and llamas and elephants. So my populace frequently will bring me stuffed animals. And I have literally got this big giant stuffed goat that his squire would walk next to me and make my little elephant and my little goat walk next to me.
You can't see it now because, as I said, we're in the middle of moving, but there used to be a thing behind us here, that a shelf that when we started was empty, that now has more goats and llamas on it than you could possibly imagine. It's half of our move has been moving goats and llamas.
Very big dowry.
Chicken story. All right, if you don't mind, if I give you one more. You said amusing stories. One of my favorite stories, I didn't know if I could tell, but I got permission. During our first reign, as I said, my lady loves all the animals. We're both big animal lovers. When we went out to Hawaii to visit them, they have wild chickens everywhere. And they're just running around everywhere. So while we were there, we're at an event and I'm talking, and we're going to do the fighting portion of this event. So everyone's kind of meandering around, and all the fighters were out in this area doing our fighting thing. And my lady suddenly sees this chicken, and she's like, oh, how neat. And it's really close to her. So I'm talking to these fighters, and suddenly the guy who's making eye contact with me, I seem to be one of those where he's talking, and suddenly goes, and he looks past me, and there's my lady running across the field chasing a chicken. And he looks at me and he goes, Is Her Majesty okay? And I'm like, oh yeah, she's fine. She does that all the time. And sure enough, as I say that, she's coming back the other way, chasing a different chicken. And he says to me, he goes, she really likes chickens. And I said, not even thinking about it, I said, well, she's very special. And I really think that several of the people there think that my lady is very special, because they started speaking to her slowly from that point forward. And she's frequently known by many people as the Chicken Queen now for chasing chickens. So
one of our awards that we got, our scrolls for our county ceremony, were these beautiful vases that were painted for us. And on them are scenes from our reign. And one of them has Hawaiian Islands and me running across them chasing chickens.
That's awesome.
I just enjoy every time we go to Hawaii now. They're like, hello, Your Majesty. Today. Tickles me pink every time.
So did Did they give you any chicken gifts or anything like that?
They gave us so much stuff.
They did. We've had many, many a chicken gift.
I have a similar story about the Crescent Isles where they have hedgehogs. We've mentioned the fact that they have hedgehogs. And I went and said, I've never seen a live hedgehog. I would love to see one. So I was over with a group of friends, and you know how you have your friends come with you to events when you're royals, and they know the in-jokes, and you're like, don't get up at any mischief. So I had a friend, she's still my friend, but I'm just going to call her a past friend now, Lillian, who came up to me in the middle of the night, and I'm wearing a crown, and she's gone, Lil, I found a hedgehog for you. And I went, oh, cool. So I was all excited about it. And under her arm, she pulls out this flat rock that they have drawn a hedgehog on.
Ah!
Right? And I went, that's really funny, whatever, So it got around that I hadn't seen one, and Martuccio came up to me later on in his full flamboyant outfit and said, Majesty, I believe you've not seen a live hedgehog. And I went, yes, I've never seen a live hedgehog. And he said, I've got one from you. And I thought, oh, here we go. It's still going to be another flat rock. And he put out his hands graciously, and in there was this lovely little hedgehog lying on its back. And he said, you should stroke its belly. It feels like a chamois, like it's the softest leather ever. And I went, awesome. So I'm going like this, right, to this tiny little hedgehog on its tummy. And I said to him stupidly, Martuccio, how do you catch a hedgehog? To which he said, well, you sneak out into the dark and they make a certain noise when they're copulating. And what you need to do is sneak up behind them and grab the top one. And I went, did you just make me rub the belly of a hedgehog? You just interrupted mid-coitus. And he looked at me and went, oh, yeah, no, I should probably not have done that, and walked away with his hedgehog as I'm going, too much fits of laughter. So yes, I was getting flat rocks drawn with hedgehogs specifically.
That's a magnificent story,
isn't it? So just be careful what you ask for. That's what I say.
So previously, prior to our asking you to this interview, did you know much about Lockhart?
I knew that you were Australia, New Zealand, and Antarctica, right? Is that, I believe? That's all I really knew, is that it was those three things. I didn't know you had islands, though, other islands. I mean, I assume you are big islands. I didn't know you had these other little tiny ones all over the place. That's kind of neat. So not much, honestly.
And have you met any of us before, like any of the Lockhart?
Pensick.
At Pensick, we met the tiniest little person, His Majesty, apparently, from your great kingdom, and he was a magnificent fellow. He was hysterically funny. We sat and chat with him at several of the banquets, but I have forgotten his name, I'm afraid. But he was like this tall.
Stefan.
I think that's it.
Huge personality in a very condensed, awesome package.
Yeah. Several jokes about how they shoved all this personality into this tiny little package. It was magnificent.
Yes, Stefan.
Yes. He's amazing. When we were in New Zealand with him before he became a crown himself, he's actually a laurel in theater.
That makes a lot of sense. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. That makes a lot of sense.
We got chatting to people and they found out he was a laurel, and we'd been drinking and they asked what he was a laurel in, and we told them black work. So for about 8 hours, people kept coming up and showing him their embroidery, and he was like very polite about it, but he couldn't figure it out until one of them said, oh my God. It was you lot.
That's spectacular.
Yeah. Yes. He is definitely one of the gems of our kingdom for sure. Yeah,
I joke only because I think he's the right person that would take a joke like that. He was a magnificent person. We really had a great time with him there. It was really nice.
Yes.
Wonderful person. He
So
did seem-
if you were to, if we were to entice you to come over to Loch Arc, what kind of things would you like to do?
See, it's funny. We were talking about this earlier. I don't think we know what we would do there. I mean, I've always wanted to go to Australia. As a military guy, it's one of the few places I haven't traveled to. I definitely want to go and see, but what can we do there? I don't know.
Oh, so much.
The random animals?
Well, funnily enough, and forgive me for saying this way, but all the Australian people and New Zealand people New Zealanders that I have had the privilege of spending any time with, we always seem to just get drunk. I mean, it's a magnificent time from what I remember, and I'm told the next day that seems to be the thing that most of them do, though. So we'd have to find out.
There's a lot to do.
I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to try. Can you suggest something? I'm just curious.
We have regions, so there are different regions and different main events. Like I explained about Great Northern War in one of the previous interviews, but there's other areas that have, where there's like the Great Southern Gathering. There's camp. I'm going to pronounce it incorrectly. Camp Panther over in Perth.
There is a Western camping event. Yes.
Yep. There is like the
Canterbury Fair.
event, Fields of Gold. We've
Yeah.
got like huge events. So if you came over, depending on what time of the year it was, there would be something that you could like experience. But we've got also like little non-SEA things. Like if you go to Adelaide, you have to go to the chocolate factory. You're like, there's microbreweries and breweries all over the country that like have the specific things that they like love to do. So yeah, it's just,
you have amazing beaches.
yes, we do have amazing beaches. So
Beaches, alcohol, lots of wineries, lots of breweries, lots of cideries.
Yeah.
So cider is a big thing here.
Sadly, it was one of the places that we were discussing trying to get you during this reign. Then, of course, we have you won't even let us into your country anymore.
They won't let us out, so that's okay.
We can blame you. But it was something we were hoping to do. But I can tell you, let me answer that question for you. Honestly, what we would like to do is meet as many people as possible, because I have yet to meet somebody from your fair kingdom that has not been very interesting to talk to and a ton of fun.
Excellent. So, you know that we have Australia and New Zealand, and what would be one of the strangest things that you've heard about our kingdom?
What's fair dinkum? What is fair dinkum? Am I saying that right?
It's all good. Everything's fine.
That's
Is
what
it
fair
really
dinkum
what it is?
Yeah, it's fair dinkum.
How the
Fair
hell?
dinkum, mate.
Well, I've heard it a couple times now, and every time I've heard it, I'm like, what are they talking? So where does that come from? What does it mean? I mean, I get that it means whatever. Fair. Well, I don't even. How do you derive that from that word? I mean,
No idea.
no idea. Okay.
I think part of it is like Hollywood's version of what they expect Australians to be like, right? Like because of Crocodile Dundee and so forth. But there are coming from having a colonial background, we actually have like abbreviated versions of Old English terminology as well that has kind of been indoctrinated into our culture. So we find it very hard sometimes when people go, what in heaven's earth? Does anybody say flat out like a lizard drinking? And we're like, not in real life, no.
We do say g'day.
Yeah, we do.
Mostly at Penzic.
Because it's expected? Is that like Yes.
Yes.
Fair enough. Fair. Yeah. Okay.
It's kind of the same of the stories about drop bears and with Tim Tams and the stories of Vegemite.
Baraka.
Yeah, I'm a foodie. I love the different types of weird foods. So you guys got some good ones.
Well, my whole family's British, so Vegemite. We're on track with
Like
that one.
Bovril.
Yeah. I forgot what do we call it? It's not Vegemite for us. It's
I don't know, Marmite?
Marmite. There it is.
No, it's different to Marmite.
It is. I agree. It is, but I'm used to at least the like most people I know who have tried it are. Oh, what was that? I'm used to the shock. I'm prepared for the shock.
We have other things that we bring that Americans hate, like musk sticks, which I've been told taste like you're eating perfume.
Yeah, so I have taken some musk sticks over to Pennsic, and it was like eating perfume were the words. Whereas as a British person, you would understand the musk stick thing.
I don't actually though. That's a new one for me. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh no, they are very good. They're bright pink, horribly sweet, but amazing.
Well, I probably like it. Then I'm a junkie for sweet stuff.
I made one of the lovely Americans who traveled down here eat what we call Redskins, which is completely inappropriately titled, but they're an old, like almost raspberry taffy kind of thing. And he thought it was hilarious. First of all, he's like, I cannot believe you have confectionery that one is so offensive in its name, and two, so sweet that it makes your teeth stick together. We've also got like little chocolate jelly babies that we call Chicos.
They're Chico babies.
So slowly but surely, Australia is kind of going, yeah, we need to change some of our international confectionery names because they're not great. Let's put it that way. In this day and age.
But
we'll get your address and we'll send you some of these horrendously sweet confectionery.
I'll be right on top of that. That'd be delightful. I'd really like that. I'm a junkie, so you're hitting the right person. That's my
excellent.
Sugar.
Perfect.
Yeah. So, and there are definitely things that I love that I can't buy here. I'm a big fan of the Hanover of Schneider's pretzel pieces, the honey mustard ones, and I love them, and I've taken them into my work, and I work for the federal government, and I've walked in and I'm like, do you want some crack? What? I'm like, as soon as you eat it, you cannot stop. And it's just like, no.
And you guys can't get them there?
Pardon?
You can't get them there?
For us to purchase them, it's about $16 or $17 Australian a bag.
Ooh.
Yeah. So whenever I go over, I'm like,
yeah.
I have bags of these and jalapeno Cheetos and all these random foods that you can't buy here.
Wow.
We'll have to do a gift exchange.
Yes.
Absolutely.
We eat the animals on our emblem, like we eat kangaroo and emu here. So there's something that you
tried kangaroo, but I would be willing to give it a go.
Excellent.
Is it tasty? I'm curious.
Sorry?
Is kangaroo is it tasty?
It's very high protein, very low fat, so it's a very lean meat. Yeah.
Lean gamey meat. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd give that a crack. we love to.
So we've actually come to the end of our hour with you, but we would like to thank you, first of all, for giving us the Crescent Isles.
Yes, we gave
Secondly, Well, we did kind of steal them. For giving us your time while you're in the middle of packing up your house. We do appreciate the fact that this is probably a slight inconvenience to you. And also for giving us much laughter and much conversation, and hopefully you've enjoyed it as well.
Thank you so much for inviting us. We had a great time.
Very much so. It's been wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you to everybody who has watched today. A little bit of knowledge shared between kingdoms and across the great Kraken infested waters. Please join us tomorrow where we have 2 more interviews with Eldemir and
The West.
the West. My brain just went on freeze. It's been a long day. So thank you so much, Your Majesties. Thank you to everyone watching. And we look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.